Chapter 2. Lost in the smells of the kitchen and the sounds of cooking, he did not notice Knox return to the table for a few moments. "Chef special sound good to you?" asked Knox once Steele had come back to the present. Sure," he replied, still gazing at the sights that brought back so many memories. He and Knox used to stop by this very restaurant on the way back from school. Although Steele's home life was good, Knox had it rough, especially once his dad had started drinking, which was more often than not. "Remembering the good old days?" Knox asked, almost reading Steele's mind. "Good," scoffed Steele. "What was good about them? The times we spent here were good enough," Knox replied seriously. "I suppose," he conceded offhandedly. "You suppose?" Knox raised an eyebrow. "Home sucked for me and school sucked for you. Stopping here for some food was paradise in comparison." "That's true enough," Steele agreed, his attention being drawn to the young woman bringing the meals to their table. "Who's your friend, Knox?" the woman asked curiously, giving Steele a smile. "This is Steele," Knox replied as if it was obvious. "Don't you remember him from school? He's the same grade as I was, 2 above you." A frown came to her face before she shook her head. "No, sorry, I don't remember," she said, seeming a little bit embarrassed. "How could you not?" Knox wondered. "He was the only guy I hung out with. Come on, Jane, use your brain." "Well, aren't you a poet?" Jane frowned before glancing awkwardly back to Steele. "Well, I guess it doesn't matter. Eat up. Auntie Poe says it's on the house." "Ah, you're too kind," said Knox. "Can I get some water too, Jane? Distilled, please." "All right, but don't you take advantage of this, Knox." The waitress frowned before taking her leave. Licking his lips, Knox was eager to start eating. Steele had already started, savouring the flavours that continued the onslaught of nostalgia. Jane returned swiftly with a bottle and 2 glasses that she placed on the table, with only a smile to Knox before leaving them to eat. "Do you remember Jane, Steele?" Knox asked curiously as they dined. "I do," he replied simply. "We even spoke a few times. But it doesn't matter. I've tried hard to forget my days at school, so it only seems reasonable that those from school have forgotten me as well." "Don't be foolish," Knox objected. "You were a bit antisocial, sure. We both were, really. But it's no reason for people to forget you." "You weren't antisocial." Steele frowned slightly. "You flirted with every cute girl you saw. That was the reason the other guys hated you so much." Knox laughed at that. "Yeah, well, we had some good fights back then." "We?" Steele asked. "I ended up doing the fighting. The only time you got a black eye or split lip was when your father hit you." "Yeah," Knox chuckled, his blue eyes becoming distant as the mirth died down. "Say, do you still have nightmares about that?" Steele asked, seriously, drawing his friend's gaze. "About him, or what we did?" Knox asked in reply, his tone quietening and becoming more serious. "Either?" "Neither." The smile returned to Knox's face. "An amusing story about that, actually. I went and spoke to a psychologist about it all." "What?" Steele almost choked on his food. "Why?" "Well, because she was really cute," Knox replied as if it was obvious. "She was the daughter of one of my lady friends in the Golden Hills, actually." Might have known." Steele shook his head and returned to the food. The thought struck him as odd, though, and after a few more mouthfuls he regarded Knox closely. "What does your lady friend think of you screwing her daughter as well as her?" Steele asked flatly. "Well, neither of them know." Knox shrugged uncaringly. "Do you actually like being a kept man, Knox?" Steele's question seemed to catch Knox by surprise, and the man wiped his mouth on his napkin before resting back in his chair and regarding Steele closely. "It has its good days and bad days, like all things," Knox said seriously. "It's not like I'm a gigolo or anything. More like a confidence man, I suppose. Besides, most of the ladies I know in the Golden Hills really just want someone to pay attention to them. The one I've known the longest, Mary, she likes to go shopping with me and have high tea whilst talking about fashion and art. She helped me complete my education, in fact. A nice lady. Very lonely, though. Mary once told me she feared the sound of her own footsteps echoing through the empty halls of her mansion." "Nice fear to have," Steele remarked cynically. "Perhaps." Knox shrugged and continued eating, finishing his meal. When Jane came to take the empty plates away, Knox ordered some dessert for both of them, despite Steele's resignation to have his friend spend more money on him. As the waffles and ice cream came, so too did the storm that had been threatening the city from the west. So, tell me, in more detail, Knox said as they ate their dessert. What have you been doing for the last 10 years? Honestly, not much more than I've already mentioned, Steele shrugged. I worked as a bouncer for a club for a while, a barman. I even had an office job for a few years, but other than that, not much at all. Didn't you try for the police in Talmon? Knox asked, trying to remember. Yeah, but my record from Eden followed me, Steele replied seriously. That's a shame, nodded Knox. Well, what about your martial arts? Do you still train? Have you done any more competitions? I did several, so won a few, Steele answered. You're a master level, right? Knox asked. You could have started your own dojo. No, I was never master, Steele shook his head. I would bet that you are better than most martial arts masters in the city, Knox said confidently. Do you still train? No, Knox shook his head. I stopped years ago, just didn't have the motivation. Hey, I don't suppose Master Jun is still teaching? Steele asked curiously. Yeah, of course he is, Knox said as if the answer was obvious. Old Jun Li would never give up his dojo. All his classes are still the same, too. You should go around there sometime. No, Steele said after hesitating. You surprise me, Steele, Knox remarked. You come back to Eden, but you're hesitant to see all the people you once knew? I do understand the hesitance, but you realize it's inevitable, right? For the most part, Steele said. I'm sure I'll be able to avoid the ones I don't want to meet again. But you and Jim were close, weren't you? That was before. Steele's voice trailed away, and he looked to the rain-drenched streets out the window, where the neon light shimmered in the puddles. He was furious after he learned what happened. After he learned what I did using the techniques he taught me. Yeah, how could he not be? True, but that was 10 years ago, Steele, Knox stated. What can make you angry at the time sometimes seems silly in retrospect. Steele turned a curious eye to his friend. Since when did you become the philosopher? My good friend, it has been 10 years. Knox smiled, an authoritative air coming to him. I may have been dense during school, but I can assure you, I am quite the learned gentleman now. Sure, Steele scoffed, and Knox laughed. But you may be right. Maybe I'll go speak to Jun sometime. Hey, do it tomorrow, Knox said seriously. I'll give you the spare key to my apartment while I'm out. Where are you going? Work. Mary? Ha, I wish, Knox laughed, before his eyes became hard. No, the lady I'm meeting tomorrow is not as pleasant a company. She is much more attractive, though, so I guess that's something. You really do enjoy it, don't you? Steele stated, catching his friend's eye, and a sly smile came to Knox's lips. As I said, Knox replied vaguely, it has its good and its bad, like all jobs. Right, Steele said slowly. Sex for pleasure and work. Many men would be jealous. Hey, a good thing you're back in town then, Knox replied swiftly. You can beat up all the jealous ones before they attack me, just like high school. If that's the way things are going to be, I think I'll head back to the mainland tomorrow, Steele remarked flatly. Oh, come now, don't be like that, said Knox. We both know you enjoy fighting. Steele could not really argue against that observation, and with a slight shrug, he turned his attention back outside to the falling rain. Most of the night goers had returned to their homes to hide their heads from the deluge, leaving the sidewalks barren and drenched. As the people left the streets at night, the city took on a different atmosphere. No longer was it filled with the joys of nightlife and laughing voices, but now was the time of the criminals. Like rats hungry for a feast, delinquents came out as the night grew dark, running errands for gangs, looking for drug fixers, or just someone to rob and beat. Just by glancing at those walking the sidewalk now, Steele could tell that most were criminals to some degree. Whether they were working for the company and known as company men and women, it was hard to tell. But more often than not, the obvious ones were the deadbeats and addicts. The sight brought a foul taste to his mouth, forcing him to take a drink from his glass to try to wash the feeling away. It did not work, and his eyes narrowed slightly as one man wearing dark clothes came into the restaurant, his shoulders hunched and his fingers fidgeting. Sorry, we're closing up, Jane said sweetly, not really paying the man much attention. No more orders tonight. Good, the man said, his voice growing loud as he pulled a gun from under his coat. You'll have keeps of cash then. Hurry up and hand it over before I kill you, bitch. Jane cried out in alarm, drawing everyone's attention. Don't move, the thief screamed. No one moves. I'll blow your heads off. The money now. Move it! What few customers remained in the restaurant whimpered and cowered below their tables in fright, praying that the robber did not see them. Those that were still in the kitchens did likewise, just waiting for it all to be over and hoping no one would be killed. Tears streamed from Jane's eyes as she moved to the cash register and opened it with shaking hands. This brings back memories, Steele remarked casually to Knox, who strained to laugh as the pair of them remained seated at their table like nothing out of the ordinary was happening. Who said that? The robber screamed, aiming his gun across the tables towards Steele and Knox. Who laughed? No one replied, and Steele narrowed his eyes slightly at the nervous criminal. The hell are you looking at? The man roared, catching eyes with Steele. More whimpers filled the air as a man rushed across the room, throwing one of the tables to the side before sticking his glaring mug right in Steele's face. Got something to say, the robber spat, his eyes wide as he pointed the barrel of the gun under Steele's chin. Well, I don't like the way you're looking at me. Stop it before I blow your head off. Get on the ground now. Steele did not reply, his grey eyes regarding the gun closely as well as the robber, his demeanour calm and relaxed. Here's the money, Jane called from the counter. Please just take it and go. Don't kill anyone. The distant sound of a siren echoed from the street, suggesting the police were on their way, and Steele could see that there was more than just rain that had moistened the robber's brow. Your lucky day, punk. The robber sneered and pulled back. I do have something to say, actually, Steele said and stood up, catching the robber and everyone else by surprise. The man with the gun spun back around, lifting his pistol at Steele, his hands shaking slightly. You want to die? The robber exclaimed, cocking his gun, even though it was a semi-auto and could fire without being cocked. You won't be able to kill me with a fake gun, Steele stated simply, causing the robber's eyes to widen. Fake? The man scoffed, trying to sound confident. I'm not an idiot, Steele narrowed his eyes. You shouldn't have stuck it in my face. Fact is, guns are tightly regulated in Eden. Only cops and the army carry them. Black market guns are even rarer, so only top gangsters carry real ones. The robber seemed lost for words and glanced nervously to his handgun. Gangsters like us, Knox said suddenly, getting to his feet as well, and drawing a revolver from behind his back and aiming it at the robber's head. I suggest you leave before I destroy what little brains you have, without the cash, if you don't mind. The police sirens had grown louder now, and the sweat on the robber's brow had increased. Suddenly, the man turned around and sprinted to the door and out into the rain where he disappeared into the shadows. Knox laughed and returned his revolver to his belt behind his back, which was concealed by his coat. The sirens became deafening then, as a police car sped along the road, going right past the restaurant and continuing on its way into the city. Relieved, the customers slowly came from under their tables and paid their bills before leaving swiftly. Well, well, an old lady said loudly as she came from the kitchens, her eyes falling on Knox and Steele. I might have known you two were involved. It was kind of you to help, but don't you think this'll get you free meals every night, boys? Hey, I'll settle for a free meal every second night, Auntie Poe, Knox replied playfully, causing the elderly woman to frown before looking to Jane. Stop your crying, girl. I thought you'd be used to hold-ups by now. God knows it happens at least once a month. Sorry, Auntie, it's just... Jane whimpered as she wiped her eyes. I know, Poe sighed heavily. All of you get going, I'll close up. Most of the other staff had already left, and with a weak nod Jane moved to follow suit, as Steele headed for the front door. It's good to see your face again, Steele, Poe said, causing him to stop before he reached the door and turned back to her. Make sure you keep out of trouble this time, though, and that goes for you too, Knox. Hey, I never get into trouble, Knox protested. You can't fool this old lady, boy. Poe scoffed and waved them away. Go on, get out of here. Lock the door on the way out. Knox followed the old lady's direction as he and Steele left and they headed off along the sidewalk. The rain was still falling, though much softer than before as the storm had moved off to the east, away from the island of Eden. The puddles glowed all different colours in the lights of the neon advertisements and shop names, constantly shivering from the drops of rain and footsteps that disturbed the surface. A parking ticket waited for them on the windscreen of Knox's car when they returned, but Knox took the wet paper from under the wiper blade and uncaringly dropped it to the ground before unlocking the doors and slipping into the driver's seat. "Hey, how'd you know the gun was fake, Steele?" Knox wondered as they drove from the parking space and along the road. "Replicas are virtually identical to the real thing these days, and 3D printing is just as accurate." "Logical deduction," Steele shrugged, his eyes out the window as he watched the city pass him by. He was no company man. He was more likely just a junkie needing some cash for his next hit. So, the odds of him actually carrying a real gun were slim. Besides, if it was real, actually having the ammo for it was even less likely. Makes sense when you put it like that," Knox agreed thoughtfully. "Where did you get your revolver?" Steele asked curiously. "A bit outdated, isn't it?" Exactly," Knox smiled. "My model is actually a genuine antique. I happened across it during a deal I was helping out with. The deal was with Benedict Vandermont about 3 years ago." "The Demon?" Steele was surprised, using the well-known man's moniker. "The East Point board member for the company asked you for help?" Not me personally," Knox corrected. "Benedict asked Bartholomew, the man who taught me about art antiques, for assistance. I accompanied him. I swapped it from the collection. Bartholomew didn't care, and Benedict was none the wiser. It has no bullets, though, only blanks." A slight smile came to Steele's face as he suddenly shook his head and continued to stare out the window. The rain had sent most back to their homes, leaving the streets quiet with only a few wandering about. Of course the most popular restaurants were still open, as well as the clubs and bars, but it was nearing midnight, and even in the City of Dreams, the people still needed to sleep. The neon haze of lights were drawing on Steele's eyes, making him hope that Knox's couch was as comfortable as his friend claimed. It was not long before Knox turned into a driveway and up to a closed security gate, which opened after Knox pressed a button on his keyring. Steele peered out the windscreen, looking upwards to the height of the building. It was better than he expected, and being close to the night markets, the area had a good reputation from what he remembered. Taking the driveway downwards into the parking structure, they went down several levels before Knox pulled into a designated lot, and they got out. To the lifts they went, and right up to the higher floors of the building. It was over a dozen apartments to a floor, but walking into the main room, Steele was again surprised. "Hey, not what you expected." Knox smiled, guessing his friend's thoughts, as he locked the apartment door and wandered through the room. "No," Steele said honestly, looking to the small kitchenette and table in the entrance, and wandering into a small lounge beyond, to a balcony outside the sliding doors. "Your room is the first door on the right," Knox pointed down the hall. "The bathroom and laundry are on the left, with my room at the end of the hall. Any questions?" "I have a room?" Steele raised an eyebrow. "I thought you said I was sleeping on the couch." "Hey, I was joking," Knox laughed and shrugged. "Of course you have a room. Only a single mattress, though." "Thanks. How'd you afford this place?" Steele asked with a slight laugh. "Myrtle bought it for me," Knox replied honestly. "She offered to buy me a nicer one in Central, but then I'd have to commute to work." "Work?" You know what I mean," Knox chuckled. "Well, I'm off to have a shower and a sleep. I'll be out early tomorrow and won't be back until late, like I said. I'll leave a spare key on the bench." "All right," Steele nodded, moving to the room Knox had lent him. "Well, sleep comfortably," Knox said and moved to his room, but paused. "It's good to have you back in Eden, my friend. After tomorrow, I'll help you find some work." "Thanks," Steele strained a smile. With that, Knox disappeared into his room, and the sounds of a shower running told Steele that he must have had an ensuite. Still feeling a little out of place, he gathered his things and took a shower as well, and slipped into some fresh clothing before he inspected his small bedroom, that also had a door out to the balcony. The bed was rather small, but it was comfortable at least, and soon he was drifting off to sleep. His dreams were not pleasant.